Pendo. Pendo.
Oh, that never fails to actually get me a little bit more motivated than my half asleep ass was. Uh, for those who don't know, that is. Can't remember what the hell that beat is called. But Pendo Beats produced it. Shout out to that. Oh man, that's a good one. Welcome back, everybody. It's DarthHideous Philosophy Cast. I am still your host, DarthHideous. Not dead yet. And this is book 7 of the Meditations of Marcus Aurelius. Shout out to the chat. I mean, you say you're first, but that's the thing. So, shout out to Div and shout out to Michelle for being the only ones in the chat before we get started on this new day. Same time, but new day, that's for sure. And mm, fair enough, fair enough, fair enough. uh, I love how everybody can still congregate here, though. Uh, but anyway, last night we discussed book 6, and there was a significant focus on death. And I actually, after the show, I was wondering why I'm never concerned with death, why it's always just been part of the natural order of things. Not something I ever think about. So many people are so, like, terribly, terribly preoccupied with mortality that they spend inordinate amounts of time worrying about it and inordinate amounts of resources on trying to prevent the inevitable, trying to prolong their lives. And it's just like, what on earth is the point? Like, you have a set time limit here. Why would you waste so much of it not? But so many people just waste so much time. But, like, why would you waste time trying to prolong your time when you could just live? It's ridiculous to me. But anyway, that's what we're doing. We're living half asleep because it's been a bit of a day. Beautiful fresh air kind of day. We've got an even longer chapter tonight in book 7 than we had last night. I did a little bit of a scroll through and I was like, oh, we're into the 70s. So we may not finish this whole thing tonight. I'm gonna hard cap this at some point. But since we've got so much to talk about, we'll probably should just be getting started. Don't you think? Before we do, though, let's get a head count because it looks like we've got 3 and 3 split between YouTube and the Bird platform, both fighting for second place. We got 4 people on Rumble. Shout out to the Rumble gang. So, hell, we got 10 people chilling. That's plenty enough to get started with. Let's get into book 7. Where's that button? What do I do with the button, guys? Oh, there it is. Book 7. I didn't really read much of this one. I skimmed through the one yesterday, but I just kind of scrolled through this one. But I did read the first entry because you always want to know what you're getting into. And I thought it was quite fun. Book 7, entry 1. Evil. The same old thing. No matter what happens, keep this in mind. It's the same old thing. From one end of the world to the other. Now, that's a very telling sentence. One end of the world to the other. A round world doesn't have ends, only flat earths have ends. It fills the history books, ancient and modern, and the cities, and the houses too. Nothing new at all. Familiar. Transient. And I read that, and you know what I said? I said, yep, that sounds like evil to me. And then it made me think of the book of Genesis when God separated the light from the darkness. That's how long evil's been doing evil. Since the beginning of all the things. It's nothing new. We don't need to dwell on it too much. Like, if you don't know the nature of evil, you need a much more remedial podcast than this one. I believe everyone here is discerning enough to understand that certain things are inherently good and certain things are inherently evil. And while I do believe that there's a lot of things that are considered such that are just amorality, there's also inherent good and bad. And I don't need to say too much more about it. And since we got so much to talk about, like, I want to talk about things that actually need some discussion. I don't think evil's one of them. It might be tomorrow. Who knows? Entry 2. You cannot quench understanding unless you put out the insights that compose it. But you can rekindle those at will, like glowing coals. I can control my thoughts as necessary. Then how can I be troubled? What is outside my mind means nothing to it. Absorb that lesson, and your feet stand firm. You can return to life. Look at things as you did before, and life returns. Yo, Firsty with the shootings. Good evening, my brother. Ah, this one's a little more interesting than the first one, I think. You cannot quench understanding unless you put out the insights that compose it. So, like, if somebody has a question, you can't make them understand unless you have, like, understanding yourself. Imagine the concept of that. But, I mean, if you do have the insights that compose understanding, you can rekindle them at will. And yeah, you have control of your mind. And what is outside of it, it shouldn't be anything to you. Don't allow yourself to be bogged down by a bunch of shit that does not concern you. It's counterproductive. Just go on about your life. Do your own thing. It's the most common trend thread in this entire process of thought is just do your own shit and worry about you. I think that's generally like the most core tenet of stoicism is just mind your own damn business, worry about you. Number three, pointless bustling of processions. Opera Aurelius' herds of sheep and cattle, military exercises, a bone flung to pet poodles, a little food in the fish tank, the miserable servitude of ants, scampering of frightened mice, puppets jerked on strings. Now I feel like this is actually a personal attack against Little Mousy Girl because they mentioned like the the fish tanks and the scampering of frightened mice. Hey, Memento Mori. Hey, Cat Ninja. Good to see you all. Glad everybody could make it. Glad we didn't get too far into the show before people managed to stop in. Surrounded as we are by all of this, and I mean, what he's getting at here is the mundanes and constant happenings of life as we know it. And surrounded by all of this as we are, we need to practice acceptance without disdain. Acceptance without disdain. Because the natural order of things is just the natural order of things. There's no reason to disdain it. But remembering that our own worth is measured by what we devote our energy to. That's beautiful right there. Just accept things as they are and remember your own worth. Because the part you play is what you are in that whole grand scheme. Number four, focus on what is said when you speak and on what results from each action. Know what the one aims at and what the other means. Because by their actions you will know them. So by your actions they'll know you. be clear and concise with your words and be mindful of your actions because that's what people are going to read. Yo, go Hagen. We are the prize now, Drizzle Drizzle. uh, whoa, the viewership just exploded. We got 10 on X, 8 people chilling on the YouTube, and 11 on the Rumble. Still rocking the biggest numbers in the gang. Oh, did somebody wrench go Hagen? Who could have done that? Uh, I mean, I gotta have wrenches on enough people on YouTube because YouTube likes to make the press allow button happen in my chat a lot. I think there's a option in here that I can set it to allow all things, but YouTube still tries to filter shit. Number 5. Is my intellect up to this? You know, I've asked myself that question during this particular book a couple of times because I'm literally trying to like get into another man's head, someone much more insightful and much more disciplined than I am. And I'm trying to actually like understand and make other people understand where he's coming from. And it's like, yeah, you're out of my league, bud. Is my intellect up to this? If so, then I'll put it to work like a tool provided by nature. And if it isn't, then I'll turn the job over to someone who can do it better unless I have no choice. Anybody out there that can do this show better than me want to take over my show for me? No? I don't see a lot of people doing this particular type of show, so I feel like my intellect has to be up to this because I don't really have a choice if the show's going to keep going. We have to keep doing it ourselves. Me, I have to do it myself because it's my show and I came up with this damn concept. I mean, it's not a new concept of like doing a commentary on stuff, but most people I see doing commentary do commentary on like current events and whatnot. They don't do commentary on hundreds, thousands of years old philosophy. Oh, that's just not a thing. But we're keeping going. Uh, or I do the best I can with it. That actually sounds way better. And collaborate with whoever can make use of it to do what the community needs done. And I have done that. I've collaborated with several people while doing this particular show. I'd like to collaborate with more people in the future. So this is where we're at on that. I should have read ahead a little bit. I would have known what was coming. Because whatever I do, alone or with others, can aim at one thing only. What squares with those requirements? The requirements of the thing that I'm doing. What I am doing is my best to try to understand, to learn something so that first one shot doesn't have to. Don't worry, Firsty. I'll learn the things so you don't got to do that. And then if somebody asks you, you can just quick phone your friend Darth and look like not a retard. Well, I say allegedly. I'm gonna say allegedly because I have looked like a retard before. Oh, this might be why. Cheers. Number 6. So many who were remembered already forgotten, and those who remembered them long gone. And this is another one of those common themes about people's legacies and how they're not really a thing. Like, so don't worry about your legacy. You're probably not going to do cool enough shit to be remembered for like 10 years after you dead. Most of us won't be remembered except for by our immediate friends and family for 10 minutes after we're dead. That's the vast majority of everybody. And even if you did some amazingly world changingly cool shit, most people won't know who you are. That's the facts of it. It sucks, but your legacy isn't shit. Your lineage isn't shit. None of it's worth a damn thing. So don't fret about any of that nonsense. It's really not worth the time. 7. Don't be ashamed to need help. My God, it's almost like this one was written specifically for my current mental state of it's like I'm tired. I don't wanna do it. I looked and saw how long this chapter was, and it's like I could do this in 2 parts. We'll see what happens. That might still happen, but I need the help. I need the chat to get me motivated to keep me pushing through. Speaking of the chat, like, did y'all know that I got 198 subs and 98 followers? We need to. I want to get some numbers squared up. So if you could, like, if you're watching on perhaps the Zitter platform and you don't sub to my YouTube or follow my Rumble, if you could at least follow my Rumble, YouTube be fucking with my numbers. They don't love me, and they won't let me get over 200. They just keep removing people from my subscriptions list. Heyo, in your mers. This is not actually Sparta. This is somewhere else. I think Rome. But anyway, I was right in the middle of 7. Like a soldier storming a wall, you have a mission to accomplish. And if you've been wounded and you need a comrade to pull you up, so what? I mean, we all need help sometimes. That's literally what he's getting at. Yeah, here's the link. It says user DarthHideous. Trying to get to 100. Not that I'm worried about the numbers or nothing. Yes, I am. I am low key, secretly driven by growth and goals. that's that's a funny concept to even think about for me. But yeah, it's cool to see people like signing in and following. but if you need help, ask it and don't be ashamed to ask for it. Like, what's worse they could say? No. What is your pride to you? 8. Forget the future. When and if it comes, you'll have the same resources to draw on, the same logos. Ah, you won't be in any better of a spot in the future than you are now. So don't worry about that shit because you got right now to worry about. Keep your focus on right now, in this moment, the things you're doing right now. Number 9. Everything is interwoven and the web is holy. Now, this doesn't say holy as in like an Afghan, like it's got holes in it. Holy as in like the Bible or the Lord, set apart. This is this is a bold statement. None of its parts are unconnected. They are composed harmoniously, and together they compose the world. So the thing that holds all the things together, that's the holy thing. The web that binds everything. The creation and the creator. One world made up of all things, one divinity present in them all. One substance and one law, the logos that all rational beings share. And one truth. If this is indeed the culmination of one process, beings who share the same birth, the same logos. That's the one truth. That we are all the connected by the one substance and one law, the logos that is binding all of us in creation. Number 10. All substance is soon absorbed into nature. All that animates it soon restored to the logos. All trace of them both soon covered over by time. Okay, we're going to do more commentating on the natural cycle of life and death. He seems to need to be reminded a lot that we're going to die. I probably could have shortened this journal up quite a bit by not having to remind myself that we're all going to die a lot. But I probably would have lengthened it even further with a bunch of shit about minding your own business and staying on your own path and being responsible for yourself, because that's where I get hit. 11. To a being with logos, an unnatural action is one that conflicts with the logos. I mean, that seems almost too obvious, right? Like, if you have discerning spirit and you know the truth, like, things that conflict with that are going to be unnatural to you. Number 12. Straight, not straightened. Super straight. Uh, there's no additional commentary here, but I'm assuming, I mean, you can bend something and try to re-straighten it. It's never going to be perfect again. I don't really know why straight, not straightened, unless you're talking about sexuality and the gays, but I'm not going to comment on that. It's 2024 and I don't want to get in trouble. I mean, I'm just kidding. I don't know nothing about it. Straight, not straightened. That's interesting. 13. What is rational in different beings is related, like the individual limbs of a single being, and meant to function as a unit. This will be clearer to you if you remind yourself, I am a single limb, Milos, of a larger body, a rational one. This is sounding dangerously like communism to me. Or you could say a part, Meros, only a letter's difference. But then you were not really embracing other people. Helping them isn't yet its own reward. You're still seeing it only as the right thing to do. You don't yet realize who you're really helping. And this little reminder here is contingent on Marcus Aurelius' belief that the only way to live naturally is to live and do unselfish things for others. So, Brago. So, yeah, you got to be a part of society. You got to work within it. You got to serve your purpose and do the unselfish acts. It's more than just the right thing to do. It's the only thing to do. That's what he's getting at here. The only thing that is really important to do. 14. Let it happen if it wants, to whatever it can happen to. And what's affected can complain about it if it wants. It doesn't hurt me unless I interpret its happening as harmful to me. I can choose not to. Again, another very repetitive theme of only what you allow to affect you as a person can truly affect you if it changes your nature. You can choose not to let it change who you are. I mean, I have seen some people who have had some shit happen to them that have been crushed, and I've had seen some people who have had some shit happen to them who were made stronger, more resilient, more diligent, more steadfast in their suffering. That's not the common, that's not the norm, but it can be done. You just have to choose to do it. 15. No matter what anyone says or does, my task is to be good. Like gold or emerald or purple repeating to itself, no matter what anyone says or does, my task is to be emerald, my color undiminished. So don't let the things that happen blemish you, diminish your color. You have to lay them on someone. That's how you know. You have to give someone the hands, firsty. 16. The mind doesn't get in its own way. Yes, it does. It doesn't frighten itself into desires. Yes, it does. If other things can scare or hurt it, let them. It won't go down that road on the basis of its own perceptions. Bullshit, it absolutely will. The mind is really not your friend sometimes. Let the body avoid discomfort if it can, and if it feels it, say so. But the soul is what feels fear and pain, and what conceives of them in the first place, and it suffers nothing, because it will never conclude that it has. The mind in itself has no needs, except for those it creates itself. It is undisturbed except for its own disturbances. Knows no obstructions except those from within. Now, this I do totally agree with. Your mind is can be its own worst enemy, and he just said in the beginning of this that it wasn't, and then he does come back and say that it absolutely is. So this is a giant looping back contradiction, and I'm glad to see that that's the case. 17. Well being is good luck or good character. 17a. But what are you doing here? Perceptions? Get back to where you came from and good riddance. I don't need you. Yes, I know, it was only force of habit that brought you. No, I'm not angry with you. Just go away. Okay, there's context here that he's talking to himself regarding the nature of well being. Uh, I'm a little stumped on this one, but he's angry with his perceptions and he wants to not be perceiving things. I don't know. Kind of crazy. He might be a touch mad, but I mean, this is the nature of brilliance. 18. Frightened of change? But what can exist without it? What's closer to nature's heart? Can you take a hot bath and leave the firewood as it was? Eat food without transforming it? Can any vital process take place without something being changed? I mean, isn't this like the nature of alchemy and equivalent exchange? Like, isn't this Newton's first law? Like, every action has an equal and opposite reaction? Or Einstein's law? I mean, I don't know. I'm not a I'm not the science. You'll have to talk to Dr. Anthony Fauci. He's the science. But anyway, like, yeah, everything that you can do requires something to be changed. So don't worry about change. Change is a good thing. It's always happening. Can't you see? It's just the same with you. And just as vital with nature. And we're all always changing. None of us are the same person we were 10 years ago. None of us are the same person we were 20 years ago. None of us are the same person we were 5 days, 5 hours, 5 minutes ago. We're all changing that rapidly. Every second, there's something changing within you at all times. Like, ah, embrace it. Change is the only constant. 19. Carried through existence as through rushing rapids, all bodies, which are sprung from nature and cooperate with it as our limbs do with each other. Time has swallowed a Chrysippus, a Socrates, and an Epictetus many times over. For Epictetus read any person and anything. Read, not read. Read any person and anything. Like, I mean, here we go again with the nature doing its thing. How many times are we going to talk about nature being a constant cycle in different words. The answer, my friends, is a lot. Oh, 20. My only fear is doing something contrary to human nature. See, now I feel like Mr. Marcus Aurelius has a different understanding of human nature than I do. The wrong thing, the wrong way, or at the wrong time. I mean, I feel like he supposes that human nature and humans in general are fundamentally good because we are having the capacity for rationality, and I feel like that's a damn dangerous assumption. No, damn it. Hold on, y'all. I'll be back in like 1 second. Please talk amongst yourselves. It's gonna be longer than 1 second, but I'm not gonna be like super long. So I'll be right back. Hey, you over there, packing the bowl. I see you. 21. Close to forgetting it all, close to being forgotten. This sounds like another metaphor for death. We could just file that one in the metaphors for death. 22. To feel affection for people even when they make mistakes is uniquely human. You can do it if you simply recognize that they're human too, that they act out of ignorance against their will, and that you'll both be dead before long and it won't fucking matter. And above all, that they haven't really hurt you. They haven't diminished your ability to choose. Write that one down, y'all. 22's kind of important. 23. I mean, do I need to explain why this is important? Does anybody need an explanation on this before we move on? Because we are all just human and it's okay. I mean, this is that whole forgiveness and compassion thing. I mean, if you go deeper with like people who are closer to you, I mean, even players fuck up. Notice how he said it's uniquely human? But, I mean, if they haven't diminished your ability to be who you are, then they haven't hurt you. And if they have, well, you hurt yourself. They didn't hurt you, so still you. 23. Nature takes substance and makes a horse, like a sculptor with wax. Then melts it down, and uses the material for a tree, then for a person, then for something else, each existing only briefly. Again, here comes the whole like meditations on the life cycles of all the things. I mean, uh, it's getting redundant at this point. It does the container no harm to be put together and none to be taken apart because I mean, your time is your time. You put together when you put together and you're taking apart when you're taking apart, and that's all there is to it. And it's no harm to you on either end. 24. Anger in the face is unnatural. Fix your face. Or in the end is put out for good so that it can't be rekindled. Try to conclude its unnaturalness from that. If even the consciousness of acting badly has gone, why go on living? What the fuck? There's I hate it when they put this shit in here because it seems like some shit got deleted and it might have been important. But fix your face, that's for sure. Because anger in the face is unnatural, so fix your damn bitch face though. For real, for real. Uh if even the consciousness of acting badly is gone, why go on living? I mean, if if we could answer that question, we could fix a lot of people who just go on living unaware that they're kind of shitbags, like they exist. 25. Before long, nature, which controls it all, will alter everything you see and use it as material for. You literally just said this, my dude. Something else over and over again so that the world is continually renewed. No shit. 26. When people injure you, ask yourself what good or harm they thought would come of it. If you understand that, you'll feel sympathy rather than outrage or anger. Is that why they try so hard to get to like the motive of people who do crime and shit? Like, at least in the TV dramas, I watch real court cases, and motive doesn't ever seem to be like an actual thing in real life court, but they always seem to like play to it on the TV dramas of court. Your sense of good and evil may be the same as theirs or near it, in which case you have to excuse them. Or your sense of good and evil may differ from theirs, in which case they're misguided and deserve your compassion. Is that so hard? I mean, he's kind of like trapped you in this one. He's trapped himself, trapped me, trapped all of you. We're all trapped in this conundrum here of either you are the same or you're different and they're wrong. And they deserve your compassion. Like, literally, you don't get to have a win here without being sympathetic. 27. Treat what you don't have as non existent. Look at what you have, the things you value most, and think of how much you'd crave them if you didn't have them. But be careful. Don't feel such satisfaction that you start to overvalue them, that it would upset you to lose them. So be grateful. Don't be envious. Be humble. And be mindful. All at the same time. Like, shit is just shit. Like, other people have different shit. Some people have shit that might be nicer than your shit, but that shit's irrelevant to you. I mean, like this is the shit commies don't get. Like, you can appreciate and be grateful for what you do have, but you got to be careful about that too, because well, you can get a little too prideful, too obsessed, and overvaluing. It's just stuff. Who you are, your logos. That's got to be the most important value. 28. Self contraction. The mind's requirements are satisfied by doing what we should and by the calm it brings us. Yes. How many people seem to be just lost because they don't know what they're supposed to be doing and they're just doing mindlessly like drones and zombies do. Like an ant in a line of ants, not living as they should, but just living, I don't know, just to live, like not living at all, living dead. 29. Discard your misperceptions. Stop being jerked like a puppet. Limit yourself to the present. Understand what happens to you, to others. Analyze what exists. Break it all down, material and cause. Anticipate your final hours. Other people's mistakes, leave them to their makers. Let's break it down since that is what. Hey yo, small mouse, and good to see that you're here. Discard your misperceptions. I mean, that should be obvious. Unfortunately, the problem with misperceptions is most people don't realize that they are misperceptions because they are jerked around like a puppet. And to all of my people who have experienced like an awakening to that fact, know what I mean. Limit yourself to the present. That's a constant thing. Like, you don't need to worry about the past. You can't change it. You don't need to worry about the future. You can't affect it. So limit yourself to right now. Yep. And understanding what happens, that's a big ask. You can barely understand what happens to you. It's even more of a stretch to understand what happens to others. Analyze what exists, break it all down, material and cause. That's a lot of work. And I don't think it's necessary to do all that, but if you want to, be my guest and let me know how that works out for you. Anticipate your final hours. I guess that means like just know that it's going to happen. I mean, like Don't be waiting for it, but just know that it's going to be a thing. Yeah, other people's mistakes, yeah, definitely none of your business. Leave them to their make the mistake makers, and let them have fun with that. 30. To direct your thoughts to what is said, to focus the mind on what happens and what makes it happen. I mean, do some thinking. Okay, seems like a good plan. 31. Wash yourself clean with simplicity, with humility, with indifference to everything but right and wrong. Care for other human beings. Follow God. I mean, this is a Jesus sermon. It's just, it's absolutely disguised because you couldn't outright say it, but you accept Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, and you wash yourself clean with His blood, and you follow Him. 31a. All are relative, it's been said, and in reality, only atoms. It's enough to remember the first half. All are relative, which is little enough. Yes, I'm just going to thumbs up that. Leave a like on this post. 32. On death, if atoms dispersed, if oneness quenched or changed. So yeah, there's the two different the dichotomy here of like if it's all by design, then it's all as it should be, and if it's all just chaos, then it's all just chaos. 33. On pain. Unendurable pain brings its own end with it. Yeah, you die. If you can't endure the pain, you die. Yeah, that's what unendurable pain brings. Chronic pain is always endurable because if it was unendurable, you would die. The intelligence maintains serenity by cutting itself off from the body. The mind remains undiminished, and the parts that pain affects, let them speak for themselves if they can. Don't be a bitch in your brain. Don't have bitch brain. 34. On ambition. How their minds work. The things they long for and fear. Events like piles of sand. Drift upon drift. Each one soon hidden by the next. So that's how pointless ambition really is. And you should always be concerned of somebody who seems too ambitious. Not ambitious in the hardworking sense, but ambitious in the wanting to achieve power sense or wanting authority or fame or whatever bullshit ambitions people have. 35. If his mind is filled with nobility, with a grasp of all time, all existence, do you think our human life will mean much to him at all? How could it? He said. Or death be very frightening? Not in the least. What the hell are you even talking about, Marcus? I mean, if you're talking about God, that's it's not the way it works. We are the very creation for which he cares the most. So, and if you're talking about humans, like a mortal, like how could he have a grasp of all time and all existence? That's inconceivable. Anywho, I could talk myself into too many paradoxes here, so let's move on. Are y'all alright out there? Ah, 36. Kingship to earn a bad reputation by good deeds. Ah, nobody loves the king. Uh, love that. Just because of the ambition, you know. 37. Disgraceful. Oh boy, we got a rebuke coming. Hey, it's good to see that everybody's still all right. I'm in one of the pair of doxes. Well, hey, Squab. Uh, I was looking for you, but I guess I didn't see you in them paradoxes over there. Okay, it's good. Everybody's still alive. That's awesome. I see that Cat and first year having a conversation. I'm trying not to like be too nosy into the conversation, so I'm missing stuff. But where? Disgraceful. 37. That's where we are. Yeah. That the mind should control the face, should be able to shape and mold it as it pleases, but not shape and mold itself. Again, with the fixing your face. If your mind can fix your face, your mind can fix your mind. 38. And why should we feel anger at the world as if the world would notice? This is definitely back to the don't worry about shit, mind your own business. Like, the world doesn't give a fuck if you're mad at it. We look around and we see societies collapsing all around us. And we're like, oh no, we gotta save society. Society doesn't give a fuck about you. What are you talking about? Society's gonna do what society do. And you're just gonna have to adapt with it and change with it or be left behind. Ugh. 39. May you bring joy to us and those on high. And may you. 40. To harvest life like standing stalks of grain, grown and cut down in turn. So, like, seriously, the cycle of life again. This seems to be just like a catalog of like all of the original points here. Those on high equals squab lives in trees. Bleh. I'm pretty sure he's talking about like divine creatures, God and the angels and whatnot. The gods, as he would have said. But yeah, definitely also the squabs. Because, oh wait, squabs aren't people. Newsflash, audience, squabs aren't people. But this squab is our people, so don't ever let him tell you you're not people, squab. 41. If I and my two children cannot move the gods must have their reasons. Duh. And if you can't move God, God has his reasons. Soylent Green is not people. That's a book, isn't it? So if Soylent Green is people, like, don't eat it. It's not good for you. 42. For what is just and good, is on my side. Jesus is on my side, so what is just and good is on my side. This is a fact. We do not need to debate it. 43. No chorus of lamentation, no hysterics. This is definitely like probably the most cryptic book in this little title so far. The seventh chapter is just like there's a lot of stuff in here that is definitely. I mean, don't be a bitch again. Like that's kind of what this seems like. No lamentation, no hysterics. Like stop whining. For 44. The only proper response for me to make is this. You are much mistaken, my friend, if you think that any man worth his salt cares about the risk of death and doesn't concentrate on this alone. Whether what he's doing is right or wrong, and his behavior a good man's or a bad one. Don't worry about death. Worry about if what you're doing is right and good, or if it's wrong and bad. Well, if it's right and bad and wrong and good, tough to find a case for that, but some people are going to try. 45. It's like this. Gentlemen of the jury, the spot where a person decides to station himself, or wherever his commanding officer stations him, well, I think there's I think that's where he ought to take his stand and face the enemy, and not worry about being killed or about anything but doing his duty. Soldiers go soldier. It is what it is. I'm glad that these are not like super, super ultra deep, but mostly just like helpful little reminders because there are a shitload of them in here. And we're actually getting through them at a decent pace, which does bring me a great bit of joy. Sometimes I prefer to be talking about these things, but if they're just going to be redundant and repetitive, it's almost reductive to just keep saying the same arguments and the same insights over and over again. But I like the way he's constantly vigilantly reminding himself to not be a scumbag piece of shit. Like that's pretty cool. 46. But my good friend, consider the possibility that nobility and virtue are not synonymous with the loss or preservation of one's life. Again, with the you're gonna die shit, is it not possible that a real man should forget about living a certain number of years and should not cling to life, but leave it up to the gods, accepting, as women say, that no one can escape his fate and turn his attention to how he can best live the life before him. Oh my God. Women, shout out to y'all. Y'all got the approval of having wisdom and insight here from Marcus Aurelius himself, which, I mean, this was a time where people actually understood that women didn't have like insight into things. So they weren't pretending that we were equal back then. So for you to be acknowledged means you actually fucking earned it. And shout out to y'all for earning the Insight Award. Hey, Bijou. I mean, I'm just giving you a hard time. But it's true. I mean, like, instead of worrying about living forever, how about worry about just living? 47. To watch the courses of the stars as if you revolved with them. To keep constantly in mind how the elements alter into one another. Thoughts like this wash off the mud of life below. Very cryptic. I mean, we do kind of revolve with the stars now. That's a different understanding. Like, because even if the Earth is flat, it's still spinning like a frisbee. So, congratulations, you do. This literally is one of those things that doesn't mean much to me because I'm not entirely sure what the hell he's talking about. Keep constantly in mind how the elements alter. It's just the constancy of change. Like, that's the part of, like, we always do this. Like, don't worry about it. 48. Plato has it right. Oh dear. We're going to get platonic in this bitch. If you want to talk about people, you need to look down on the earth from above. Herds, armies, farms, weddings, divorces, births, deaths, noisy courtrooms, desert places, all the foreign peoples, holidays, days of mourning, market days, all mixed together, a harmony of opposites. Is he saying you need to be God to have like an understanding of how all this shit works? Seems like it because there's so much going on in every like there's 8 billion people on the planet right now and every single one of them is going about their business and all the beasts and all the uh like everything in the world is just it's 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 all doing this interwoven interconnected thing. It's not really productive to dwell on it too much because you're not going to get your head around all of that. No way. 49. Look at the past. Empire succeeding empire. And from that, extrapolate the future. The same thing. No escape from the rhythm of events. Which is why observing life for 40 years is as good as 1,000. Would you really see anything new? Oh man, if we could get Marcus Aurelius into today's culture and let him ask that question again, I mean, no, we don't really see anything new. In that context, it is just exactly the same. Climate change. Climate change in retrograde. It's all climate change and retrograde at all times, unless it's just regular climate change and then retrograde climate change. Like, I mean, observing life for 40 years is as good as 1,000. All right, y'all, I'm out. Like, I'm about to be 40 in a couple of months, and I've seen enough, so I'm just gonna go ahead and play Sudoku or something because I don't need 1,000 years. But unfortunately, I'm not done doing the shit I have to do, so damn it. Why is there so many damn fucking, like, these little deleted text fucking. I think some of these were larger parts of. 50. There's this giant blank here, which is not helpful. Earth's offspring back to Earth. But that's all that's born of heaven. Oh, Earth's offspring returns back to Earth, but all that's born of heaven to heaven returns again. Oh my goodness. I okay, so I get it now. The things that are of the earth, like our flesh, our bones, like all the things that are physical, our physical being, that all returns to the back to the earth, refreshes the earth, and the spirit that's born of heaven, like returns again. The soul, if you will, the thing that animates us. The spirit would be more than that. I don't know. It's all quite confusing to me, but this is not. This is pretty simple. Like uh, matter versus energy argument. And it's true. Either that, or the cluster of atoms pulls apart in one way or another. The insensible elements disperse. He really, really, really is not like the atheistic evolutionary guy here. And I love Marcus Aurelius's take that like basically thousands of years ago, atheism and evolutionary theory and just like chaos theory were just as stupid as they are today and just as ridiculous. That's worth noting. This is literally one of the greatest philosophers of all human history. Just a guy who could think, and even he was like, "Yeah, people who think this all it's all bullshit." Like, but just in case it's not, like, I mean, this is how ridiculous it sounds, but it's literally all pointless if that's the case. Adequate alcohol may get unsubscribed on YouTube, but Rumble doesn't seem to be removing people from my channel. So if you don't follow the Rumble channel, you should. YouTube likes to fiddle with shit. And I have heard some rumors that Rumble like might fiddle with shit on the numbers too, but nobody's ever actually like come and told me that they've been unsubscribed from my channel. I've heard of some other weird shit going on at Rumble, but I've even heard people say that they've been subscribed from unsubscribed from other people's channel. Hard to tell. Sometimes like tech issues happen and some shit might glitch, but it seems to be way more consistent on YouTube just fucking with shit than Rumble Gang. So if you join the Rumble Gang, you'll get the notifications. Like if you have the Rumble app on your phone. If not, you'll get the like email notification tomorrow when the show's totally no longer live and totally isn't helpful at all. I get all my email notifications for shows the next day and it's like, well, I hope you didn't want to watch this live stream live. So Rumble, I'm gonna give you that one as a point of get your shit together. I should probably like go make a post on Twitter about like how that's not helpful at all. But anyway, we got a show to do. So 51. We got another like shit missing again. With food and drink and magic spells, seeking some novel way to frustrate death. So this is like people doing dumb shit. Again, like just accept death. Like it's a thing. It's going to happen to you. You cannot stop it. You can only cheers to it. Cheers to death. It's coming for you. I guess that's why I don't mourn the loss of people or things or even pets super hard for super long. Like, because it does kind of suck, but it is kind of the thing that happens. And I mean, why miss what is lost, what you can't have back? Like that's not productive. It's not a productive way to think or live. So small mousin, if you're still here, sorry I was callous about the fish you named after me. But he lived like an asshole and he got what he had coming to him and that's the natural course of things. So like these things happen. Stop People need to stop wasting time trying to prevent it. 51A. To labor cheerfully and so endure the wind that blows from heaven. Amen. Labor cheerfully, do what you're supposed to be doing. 52. A better wrestler, but not a better citizen, a better person, a better resource in tight places, a better forgiver of faults. So it sounds like somebody beat him at wrestling, and then he had to remind himself that he's just a better wrestler and not better at anything that makes you worth being a human. So don't whoop Marcus Aurelius in wrestling matches, or he's gonna write critical shit about you in his journal. Just that's a FYI. You can put that one in your important notes folder. 53. Wherever something can be done as the logo shared by gods and men dictates, there all is in order. Where there is profit because our effort is productive, because it advances in step with our nature, there we have nothing to fear. Yeah, I mean, when shit's going as it's supposed to be going, then all things are good. It's when shit gets turbulent that we have a problem. So I don't understand why you would make this point. Like, this is what we want to get to. This is where we'd like to be, but we are largely in part a species that is slave to its lesser natures. You have to work within that. 54. Everywhere, at each moment, you have the option. Oh, goody. We have a choice to make here, y'all. What do you want to bet? It's like do the right thing or do the wrong thing. Something of that nature. To accept this event with humility. Aha! We're onto something. To treat this person as he should be treated. I mean, to approach this thought with care so that nothing irrational creeps in. Yes, you always have the option to do the right thing or the wrong thing. Duh. Well, we got some audience going tonight. We got 15 over on Elon Musk's platform. We got nine, nine of y'all on Google's platform. We got 12 kicking it on uh Pavlovsky's platform, Pavlovsky's channel. You pick B every time. It's up. I mean, Soylent Yellow. This sounds very much more disturbing than I don't even want to ask. I'm not gonna ask. I'm not gonna do it. I love this last part basically here. Approach your thoughts with care so that you don't do the woman thing and let irrational shit creep into your thoughts. I know some of you are women, so this might be a foreign concept to you, but approach your thoughts with care. Like, if if irrational shit starts coming in, be mindful that that's like okay, we're off into the weeds with this one, and then come back to reality where things work as they're supposed to. Yes, I know some of you are women. That's why I'm speaking to you specifically because I care about you, and I don't want y'all to be uh like imprisoned by your irrational shit in your thought processing. It'll skew what your thoughts are supposed to. I mean, some of you are perfectly rational. Most most of the time. All of us are perfectly rational some of the time. It's only when we're not that there's a problem. 55 is, oh my goodness, don't pay attention to other people's minds. Mind your own business. Look straight ahead where nature is leading you. Nature in general, through the things that happen to you and your own nature through your own actions. Everything has to do what it was made for. This is literally the most common absolutely point in this whole book. What if it is do anything? Words, Bijou? Words? Oh no. B and B. That'd be dangerous. And other things were made for those with logos. That's like in the part in the Bible where God gave dominion to Adam over like the animals and the plants and such. I mean, he gave it to man specifically, but man was represented by Adam at that point in history. In this respect, as in others, lower things exist for the sake of higher ones, and higher things for one another. Now, the main thing we were made for is to work with others. Yes, we're a social cooperative species. Put a cork in that bee hole. Carpenter bees, I presume. They're good drillers. Carpenter bees are good drillers, but they'll also destroy whatever the fuck they're drilling in. So if they're drilling in anything important, you might want to get rid of them before they destroy you. 100%. Secondly, to resist our body's urges, because things driven by logos, by thought, have the capacity for detachment, to resist impulses and sensations. Yeah, but how many people don't do this? I'm looking at fat people and smokers. I mean, I'm guilty of this. Like I smoke and all types of fuckery that probably not good for me. I prefer to wait for you to yell at me to get out of my head. Thank you very much. I'm so confused by that. So is Darth, but his ego will get big if don't just leave my ego out of this, please. I don't be resisting my bodily urges. Both of which are merely corporeal. Thought seeks to be their master, not their subject, and so it should. They were created for its use. Yes, your mind should be the master of your body, not. But we have like all type. I mean, whoa! The book just flickered on me. That was crazy. Wait a minute. Did I get knocked offline? Can y'all hear me? Do I have the dead? Okie dokie. We had a temporary glitch. It's all good. Sometimes when Comcast hits me, it hits me so damn hard I don't get back online for like a day and a half. That hasn't happened in a long time, so I'm expecting one of those coming due. And because of Murphy, it's definitely going to come due in the middle of one of my shows one of these days. And the third thing is to avoid rashness and credulity. Good call. The mind that grasps this and steers straight ahead should be able to hold its own. Yes, it should. Great. Oh no, not Murphy Brown. Murphy's Law. You know that, like, anything that anything that can happen will absolutely happen to you while you're trying to live stream. I mean, carpenter bees are good for the thing they do if they're not doing it in structures that you need. Unfortunately, it seems to be that carpenter bees prefer like man altered wood to just natural wood just chilling in the forest or something. I mean, everybody wants to sound gangster until it's time to do gangster shit, so stop talking like you gangster. 'Cause you don't want to do gangster shit. Yeah, the carpenter bees prefer the trans wood. They don't prefer the natural wood. It'd be cooler if they did. Did you just as if me? Divinity said. Did you just as if me? I hope you're not as ifing my commentary on doing gangster shit. Cause it's true. Like people fucking talk like they're fucking gangster. You can see how you talk if you get slapped in the mouth. Motherfucker, how gangster are you? I'll slap you in the mouth. I'm not gonna do it because you're from Ohio and I wouldn't want to get Ohio on my hand. Like that'd be fucking gross. But calm down there, little gangster. 56. Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly. Oh my goodness, die. Motherfucker, die and then be reborn and live properly. I mean, this is like being like reborn in Christ, like you die, but you have eternal life so you can live the rest of your life properly. Repent and be saved, y'all. You know what people do want from Ohio? We all know. I mean, do we all know? Mousy seems to know. The coffee cake in Ohio. 57. To love only what happens, what was destined. No greater harmony. I mean, well, you can't love what doesn't happen. I mean, if Ohio was wiped off the map, I used to think this about California. If California was wiped off the map, who wins? Everybody. Like, who benefits? Everybody. But I think that less about California now. But I've always thought that about Ohio. Like, the one thing we would lose is Michigan would no longer be able to just trample Ohio in their football rivalry like they have for many, many, many years. Uh, they do be having the best roller coasters in Ohio. I get if there's one thing I can give Ohio credit for, it's that Sandusky happens to exist in the Ohio borders, and that's where Cedar Point is. We need to get the we need to get the roller coasters out of Ohio before we nuke it. And also, I'm a little too close to Ohio for my comfort with the fallout and the radiation. So let's not nuke Ohio. Let's just like throw dirt on it until it becomes a mountain. And all the people in Ohio are buried underneath it. Or just move a mountain into Ohio. You used to live in Ohio? Gross. Did you get it on you? Like, nobody wants Ohio on them. That's disgusting. Okay, enough ragging on Ohio. I got a show to do. Oh, 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 Ohio. Nobody wants to go to Ohio. I heard that there was a brilliant author who's somewhat of a prophet and a prodigy, and he wrote a book called Never Go to Ohio. And the thing about this that makes it prophecy is I'm fairly certain the author was 7 years old when they wrote it and had never been to Ohio, but they knew, like, don't go to Ohio. It's just, it's a thing. Anywho, I gotta get off beating up Ohio. Like, poor Ohio. It's not their fault they exist. We have to accept their existence as Marcus Aurelius would and move on. 58. In all that happens, keep before your eyes those who experienced it before you and felt shock and outrage and resentment at it. And now where are they? Nowhere. Is that what you want to be like? Instead of avoiding all these distracting assaults, leaving the alarms in flight to others, and concentrating on what you can do with it all because you can use it. Treat it as raw material. Just pay attention and resolve to live up to your own expectations in everything. And when faced with a choice, remember our business is with things that really matter. Boom, mic drop. Can I get an amen? Yeah, Cincinnati is more Kentucky than it is Ohio, but it's still in Ohio, so that makes it subject to everything else that Ohio is subject to. I mean, uh, this might be the best entry in this whole book so far. I mean, at least book 7, I mean, not the whole thing, but as far as book 7 goes, it took us 58 journal entries to get to one that really hit me. And it's the same one as 5 before it. Don't worry about all that other bullshit like everyone else does. Because where did they get ultimately? Same place we all get to. 59. Dig deep. The water, goodness, is down there. And as long as you keep digging, it will keep bubbling up. Is he talking about Jesus again? I feel like he's talking about Jesus again. The water of life, the goodness. Also, if we don't want to get spiritual and metaphorical, like if you dig a very deep well, the delicious cold water is down there, unless you have an oil derrick, in which case, don't drink that. If you're digging and the water is coming up black and thick and looking like riches, don't. Drink that. I mean, West Virginia is not far from Ohio. You could do it. You could do better and go live in West Virginia like a backwoods hill person with your guns and your freedom. Peep, man, I ain't seen you around these parts in a while. Like, what's up, homie? We're just talking about like the ridiculousness of all the things that are the things. It's good to see you though. Stopping in. I hear my link is listed on this guy's website, so I'm like somewhat of a celebrity in no communities at all whatsoever, actually. Oh my godness. Yeah, been dealing with their government and Caesar and all that bullshit. Oh my fuck. Sorry to hear that, my dude. I'm not a celebrity. You're way more of a celebrity, Divinity said, with thousands of subscribers on YouTube. You're like big famous, very super famous and shit. Yeah, all 5 people on my site know you. Like I said, I am very super famous in my own mind, and that's about it. Ah, 60. What the body needs is stability. To be impervious to jolts in all that is and does. The cohesiveness and beauty that intelligence lends to the face. Man, the face is like the new theme of book 7. Fix your fucking face. That's what the body needs. But it should come without effort. Yeah, it doesn't though. Stability is hard, especially today. 61. Not a dancer, but a wrestler. Here's that wrestler again. I feel like he wrote a lot of these after he got beat by a guy in wrestling. Because this wrestler keeps coming up. Poised and dug in for sudden assaults. So be sheer, sure-footed and not fleet-footed. I mean, Stouffer's Peep knows me. Like this dude and I got really, really fucking wasted on one of Cool Frog streams one night, and we yelled at each other, and it was super important in the moment. But I bet you neither one of us can even remember what the hell it was about today. I know I can't. I have no idea what the hell we were arguing about, but it was really important to the point that we were yelling at each other. Oh, I don't think he's on YouTube. So you would have to say hello on Rumble, or I would have to bring this chat up for him to see it. But Divinity says hello from the YouTube side. Everyone should hang out on Rumble, though, because that's where all the cool kids are. 62. Ugh. Look at who they really are. I mean, I'm not going to point fingers, but this one is written for a specific person in my chat. The people whose approval you long for. Look at who they really are and what their minds are really like. Then you won't blame the ones who mistakes who make mistakes they can't help. and you won't feel a need for their approval. You will have seen the sources of both their judgments and their actions. Holy crap, it just got really hot in here, so I'm gonna like kill the kill the sweatshirt. And if you know people for who they really are, you'll just accept them for who they are and you won't need any of their approval. You won't give a fuck. I'm pretty sure you've hung out with me exclusively on Rumble before, so that makes you a cool kid, at least to some extent. Speaking of cool kids from Rumble, it's Castro, my homie. Rumble exclusive guy, because Yuck FooTube is, I believe, his philosophy. Sup, my brother? 63. Sorry, that was a quick tangent. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I didn't get to do dinner before I started the stream. I am not only exhausted, but I am famished, so be trying to get through this. Mwah. Love that. See? No homo, though, because that'd be gay. But we can show love to another man. We just have to say no homo afterwards so that they know it's not gay. 63. Against our will, our souls are cut off from truth. Truth, yes, and justice. Self control, kindness. Important to keep this in mind. It will make you more patient with other people. I need to make a note of this one. I'm pretty sure that's homo, even if you say no homo after it. I love 63 because, yeah, I mean, it is against our will that our souls are cut off from truth and justice and self control and kindness. It's against God's will, too, so it's easier to be a little patient with people if you understand that particular truth there. 64. For times when you feel pain, see that it doesn't disgrace you or degrade your intelligence, doesn't keep it from acting rationally or unselfishly. And in most cases, what Epicurus said should help. That pain is neither unbearable nor unending, because you would die. As long as you keep in mind its limits and don't magnify them in your imagination. And keep in mind, too, that pain often comes in disguise as drowsiness, fever, loss of appetite. When you're bothered by things like that, remind yourself, I'm giving in to pain. Don't let pain control you because it's only temporary and you'll make it through it. Don't blow it out of proportion or you'll die, in which case it won't matter anyway. 65. Take care that you don't treat inhumanity as it treats human beings. Um, I'm still on 61. I I'm scrolled, but oh, my connection is acting up. Dang it. It should refresh. Hold on. How about now? Is it on 65 now? I don't know. It's saying I have a weak connection, so we're having issues. 66. How do we know that Teleges wasn't a better man than Socrates? It's not enough to ask whether Socrates' death was nobler, whether he debated with the sophists more adeptly, whether he showed greater endurance by spending the night out in the cold, and when he was ordered to arrest the man from Salamis, decided it was preferable to refuse and swaggered about the streets. Which one could reasonably doubt? What matters is what kind of soul he had, whether he was satisfied to treat men with justice and the gods with reverence, and didn't lose his temper unpredictably at evil done by others, didn't make himself the slave of other people's ignorance, didn't treat anything that nature did as abnormal or put up with it as an unbearable imposition, didn't put his mind in his body's keeping. Man, why y'all gotta talk about food? Y'all are killing me here. 67. Nature did not blend things so inextricably that you can't draw your own boundaries, place your own well being in your own hands. It's quite possible to be a good man without anyone realizing it. Remember that, and this too, you don't need much to live happily. And just because you've abandoned your hopes of becoming a great thinker or scientist, don't give up on attaining freedom, achieving humility, serving others, obeying God. Now, let me put that in the actual order of import: obeying God, attaining freedom, achieving humility, serving others. I don't know. It seems like they're all pretty fucking important. Okay. So we've got issues. Can't see my screen. We've got issues. People telling me to go get some food. I tell you what. I tell you what, guys. Since we are gonna do a show tomorrow, and since we are at 2 hours, I think I'm going to actually give into my physical nature. I'm going to cut it here, and we'll come back and finish 7 and then do 8 tomorrow, hopefully. Hopefully, I'll have food before the stream and won't be in this kind of condition. And hopefully, my internet connection won't be acting up as well, causing me all types of grief. So, thank you all for coming. I have a wonderfully huge audience for Tuesday night. You guys are the best. Hit that follow button on whatever platform or subscribe button if that's the thing you want to do on whatever platform you're on. Go check out my Rumble though. We're trying to get to 100 followers over there, so we're at 98. That would be dope if we could pick up some more. I've got right now 15 watching live on X, 9 on YouTube, and 24 of you lovely, wonderful people on the Rumble side. Smash that follow button, smash those thumbs up, and I will catch you all back here tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Love you all. Thank you for coming, and thank you for letting me go ahead and end this early so I can go feed myself and take my ass to bed. Catch you tomorrow, gang. Stay peaceful, stay blessed, stay on your path, and mind your own damn business. DarthHideous out.